As part of our steps towards a revitalised and streamlined immigration system, I have accelerated work on the future direction of the skilled migrant category to ensure that it attracts and retains the medium to long-term skills New Zealand needs and provides clear residency pathways for migrants with these skills. Following this work, I am excited today to announce the reopening of the skilled migrant category. While Resident Visa 2021 and green listed roles have picked up a large portion of the demand for residency pathways, the SMC completes the picture and provides clear pathways for a wider group. The work that we have done will bring the SMC into line with the rider rebalance. We'll hand stuff out if you can't read what's up there at the moment. It'll be clearly focused on skills and it will be much simpler than the previous system. To achieve this, the SMC will transition to a new simplified points-based system that will provide a clear, fair and transparent eligibility threshold, which provides more certainty to migrants and complements the new green list and highly paid residency pathways. Before the borders closed, the number of people eligible for the skilled migrant category significantly outnumbered the places that were available, leading to very long queues and uncertainty for migrants. In 2019, the year before the border closures, only about 40% of those who could have been eligible were actually processed. We're also seeing trends of applicants in jobs that needed lower levels of training or work experience, and migrants staying on temporary visas for long periods of time without a likely pathway to residency and the rights and protections that that provided. In short, their expectations were not being met, and it wasn't fair. The proposed new system will focus on granting residence to people who can fill skill gaps that would be hard or take time to develop from people already in New Zealand, even under the right conditions. The system sets a clear skill threshold and offers several ways for people to demonstrate their skill level through proxies such as wages, qualification and professional registration. Very highly skilled people will have a faster route to residence, while others will have a clear route if they work for a period in New Zealand. Critically, this is an important change, there will be no cap on the number of people who can gain residence each year under the SMC if they meet the skills threshold. This is a major shift. Instead of throttling demand artificially through the planning range and a constrained ballot process, we've worked to get the entry point settings right, and people who qualify will then be eligible to proceed. It is important that we get this right, and so now as we move out of the COVID emergency period, we often had to make quite quick changes to the system. We're going to move back to having full consultation on important settings like this. And MB will commence that consultation with yourselves and other interested parties and report back to Cabinet by early next year, with the aim of having these new settings in place by approximately mid-2023. I am clear, however, that we need to move forward while consultation on the new settings proceeds. And as such, I can confirm that in the interim, the skilled migrant category will reopen under the existing settings to ensure that there is a general residency pathway almost straight away. In 4 weeks from now, Immigration New Zealand will conduct a first selection based on the status quo of 160 points under the SMC. This means that those who have already submitted an EOI, who have made plans to come to New Zealand based on the current system, have an opportunity to apply at the current level. I think that's a fair approach for those people. For subsequent selections, we'll be raising the bar to 180 points to transition towards the future settings and our rebalance goals. The first selection will take place on the 9th of November 2022, just under a month away. People with existing EOIs will be advised about how to update them or how to withdraw and request a refund. We recognise how important it is for migrants to have their parents with them and the positive contributions that can be made to families and their community. While I'm clear that the decision to move to New Zealand and settle here creates no automatic right or obligation for other families to also be able to settle, a well-managed parent category is an important part of helping families to settle, and it is time to reopen the category. And so I'm pleased to announce today that we are not just reopening the parent category, but we are also updating and modernising settings to improve access to the category. We'll be more than doubling the number of parent visas granted annually from the previous settings from 1,000 a year to 2,500 a year. The income threshold for sponsors will be lowered to 1.5 times the median wage for one sponsor supporting one parent and 2 times the current median wage for joint sponsors, and then half a median wage for each additional parent. Joint sponsorship arrangements will also be expanded to allow 2 adult children of the applicants to combine their incomes to meet the relevant threshold, rather than just partners. Taken together, these settings will enable significantly more people to access the parent visa category than under the previous settings. I know how important this is to many migrant families, so I'm especially pleased to announce that selections from the existing EOI queue will resume on the 14th of November. Resuming the selections from this existing queue is a priority, and EOIs will be selected in chronological order, and up to 2,000 visas a year will be granted to this group. Restarting the selections from the queue mid-next month allows time for applicants to update the EOIs or withdraw them and request a refund. People who withdrew the EOIs due to the previous income thresholds will be invited by INZ to resubmit to the queue. We appreciate that many families have had to wait a long time since submitting their EOIs and that the COVID pandemic has lengthened the wait for the category to restart. As part of modernising the parent category, from today, EOIs submitted will then go into a ballot rather than add to the existing queue. Moving to a ballot means people will avoid an increasingly lengthy queue, and they will know within 2 years whether they've been successful or not in progressing the EOI. We see in places like Australia lengthy queues that will potentially take up to 30 years to clear, and we think the balloting system will create more certainty for people in the system, which is the fair thing to do. These new EOIs will remain in the ballot for 2 years from the date that they are submitted. Up to 500 visas a year will be granted for new EOIs in the ballot. The ballot will then increase to 2,500 once the queue of existing on-hand EOIs has been worked through chronologically. I want to emphasise that there's no need to rush to submit an EOI for the ballot now. In fact, it will be more beneficial to submit an EOI closer to the time that selections from the ballot begin. The first random selection from the ballot will be in August of 2023, and after that, selections will take place every 3 months thereafter. These changes reduce the barriers for accessing the parent category and will support skilled migrants and their parents to settle in Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all the latest news from the New Zealand Herald. Click the subscribe button below or check out one of the videos here, and head over to nzherald.co.nz for more details on these stories and more.